listening to the Author Inside You podcast, a weekly podcast designed to motivate you to finish writing a book, choose a publisher, and have your work build an audience. Keep listening if you're looking to get propelled into the next chapter of your life. And now, it's the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.
Hello and welcome to the Author Inside You podcast. I'm Matt Rafferty.
And I'm Leah Rafferty.
Today our guest is Vicki Stacensky, and she's the author of Wise on Weather. Now, Vicki lives outside of Cleveland with her husband and 4 children.
Vicki was a newscast director at a local TV station where she worked alongside meteorologist Dick Goddard. If you're not from Cleveland, you're probably saying, well, who's Dick Goddard? But if you're from Cleveland, you know Dick Goddard is a local legend. Hello, Vicki. Welcome to our program.
Thank you so much, Matt and Leah.
Sure.
Hey, Vicki, can you tell us a little bit about your book and what inspired you to write it?
My book is called Wise on Weather, and I wrote it, and famed meteorologist Dick Goddard illustrated it. And when my oldest son was in first grade, they did a service project about animals. And of course, when you think of animals, you think of Mr. Goddard. So at the end of it, I asked him if he would come to their school to talk. They were collecting money for some kind of animal organization in Brunswick. And he said he'd come by. And when he got there, to me, he was always Dick Goddard. I worked with him for 23 years, but he was like a rock star there. And I was sitting there watching all the little children, and I said, Dick, I was just wondering, you turned down a job at Disney to be a weatherman. You love to, every time I was a director and he would give me his forecast, he would draw a little picture on it or a little animal. And I asked him if he would draw a book that I wrote. And he said yes, and it came out in 2010, and we're on our second print. It just came out in Spanish last week.
Wow.
And we're just trying to make it happen.
That is fantastic. So actually, you wrote the book before you knew that Dick was going to draw the images?
And I had asked him because I was thinking then, look at all these kids. Let's just write a book because there's all these little children. And I had a first grader, a kindergarten, a preschooler, and a baby at the time. And I'm like, wow, look at the kids. And reading is so important to children. So I'm like, what if I can do something? So I sat with my children once he said yes. And it took us like one day. We just sat in the summertime and came up with the idea for the book. And then Dick drew the pictures really quickly. And I had someone color them in and all that fancy stuff that computers that other people do that I don't know how to. And it came out, and it was it's been a great experience.
And how did you find somebody to do the artwork, to touch up the artwork?
Someone from Fox 8 did it, and then a publisher that I knew got me going, and then she sent me to someone locally who actually now I just got it reprinted, and she was the one who did it in the first place, so then I'm self-published, and she just did it for me.
She was from?
From Streamline Publishing.
All right, so you decided to self-publish it then?
Correct, yes.
And what made you choose that method?
I'm not J.K. Rowling, and I knew having Mr. Goddard, that helped me get my foot in the door where I didn't need an agent or anything like that, and I had no idea what to do, and I was nervous, and I tried, and I looked around, and it was just the way to get it going. So I do more of the stuff on my own, but then I make more of the profit on my own.
So what was the process for writing the book?
When it started, like I said before, I'm not that well with computers, so I just had my Word document. It was just all written down, typed. Didn't like the last part of the book is the definition of 100 weather words, what they really mean and what my 4 children think they mean. And the middle part of the book has safety tips for the 4 seasons. So I just had it written down. I turned it in to this lady, and when she handed me, it's one of those wow moments in your life when I looked at it. She picked a font that was perfect. She put a border on it, the bright colors. It was just perfect. She did the dictionary to look more like a real dictionary and separate, and just the little things you take for granted that someone who knows what they're doing can just do magic with it. And when I just got it in the mail, I just cried like, wow, this is my wildest dreams. I didn't expect it to be this awesome, and it was wonderful.
Wow, that sounds really neat. I mean, I can't imagine holding it in your hands and saying what you thought about has become a reality. That had to be pretty cool.
I do school programs now when I take what I had, and I tried when I met my first publisher, I had it I put it in yellow paper and try to make it, tweak it as, best I can. But then when it came back, from what I gave her and what came back, it was still my ideas, my thoughts, but she just dressed it up where it was perfect. I was so happy.
Oh, that is cool. So what do you think was your biggest stumbling block for getting it all together? It sounds like you wrote it very quickly.
The children, it did go good. We just sat there, the first part's a poem about the different types of weather. The middle part has the safety tips for the 4 seasons. And then at the end, the definition. So that was just boom, 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 but just knowing where to go. The hardest part would be getting there. And I'm sure in the beginning, having Mr. Goddard illustrated, I think that helped me get my foot in the door. And I'm forever grateful for that. And then once that happened and just finding the right people who knew how to take what, like I said, I'm not computer savvy. So take that and then turn it into this was like phenomenal.
Great. Well, what other lessons did you learn during this adventure that you maybe could share with our listeners?
That you're not J.K. Rowling, but if you dream about it and you keep going, that's my passion. And the harder you work at it, the luckier you get, where then I was able to turn it into, like, my passion is children and keeping kids safe. So like with the middle part of the book being safety through the seasons, I now go to safety towns. And now I'm even getting businesses to sponsor me where then the children can all get a book for free instead of having one. Wow. So that way they could write it off. It works good to help kids because seeing the bad stories on the news of children getting hurt unnecessarily, you take for granted. I mean, Mother Nature is powerful, so it's just simple. So at safety towns, I went there when I was little. My 4 children went there, but now we just do safety through the seasons just to teach them basic safety, for winter, spring, summer, and fall. So that was just never give up. I mean, people might say, oh, you're never going to make it, but so far it's working out well.
Well, it's fun because it seems like you started this book, but now now it has led to other things in your life, which, you probably weren't thinking that you'd be a speaker. Now you're speaking at.
Exactly. I go to schools and do a school program about the weather. Safety towns are very big. And what I like about it is I can take my children with me. So when we go to the Woolly Bear Festival, it's like a family affair. And I was fortunate enough that Mr. Goddard, I would be able to go with him on weekends. But now with his hip replacement, he's kind of in rehab. So that's kind of on hold for a while. But it's not like work when you're meeting neat people and you're having fun and you can be with your children. It was like, it's a nice weekend. We always go to somewhere different, in either an event or a fair or a concert. Wherever we go where he's selling, making money for the animals, he would let me come along and help me out. So it was great.
Oh, that sounds, very nice, very helpful.
You got to be able to hook up with him. That is great.
So going back to, like, let's say someone wrote a book. They don't know where to go, like for the illustrator. You can look on the internet for that, or you said you talked to Dick Goddard, you found connections.
Yes, Mr. Goddard illustrated it, so that's one thing, like we're thinking of other books now, so that's my thing, how do you do the illustrator? But this lady that I met, her name's Jane Thoma. She's phenomenal. So if I have a question like, how do I get the copyright or how do I get the ISBN number? She knows how to do all that. So it's self-published, but she helps me get there. Oh. So in the end, I contain all the rights and I keep all the rights. And then she does the work. And from doing it from so many times, she knows what she's doing. And that way I know it's done right. And then I can just enjoy selling the book.
Good.
And do you just pay her a flat fee or how does that work?
For different things. In the beginning, I paid her, like she figures out how much it costs. Like when my book just went to Spanish now, and then when we went to the second reprint, she'll just figure out a flat rate and how many books you're buying. So the more books you buy, the cheaper it is per cost. And then she just says, like, I wanted it made in America. So she found a printer that makes it in America. And she goes, if you use this paper, it's cheaper. You could save money there. If you don't put a cover on, you could save money there. But you don't want to go, cheap on this one. You want to make sure it's good quality. So she would tell me all those stuff just from she owns a print shop. Like it's Streamline CLE. So it does publishing, mailing, marketing, everything like that. So she's been helping me greatly, like just making new, bookmarks and business cards. And we're trying to come up with a game for the book. I made coloring books where then I would send those with Safety Town with the people who did an ad on the back. And she knows how to lay all that out with Photoshop and InDesign. And then I just pay her, for her time, what she does.
Wow, we're so excited. This is really fun. That all this from one idea, going to your kids' school, and now all of this is happening. This is just wonderful. Very exciting.
Yeah, and the cool part is, like, I've never been a great reader. My children love to read, and I truly believe the more you read, the better your grades are. And now my children want to write a book. And she does a lot with children, and she's like, get them writing. I can help them get it out. So I'm like, okay, they need braces. They need college.
Yeah.
Right.
So they're all excited about writing, too. So just that passion or that dream, like we always watch Shark Tank. It's like it only takes one to happen. So that's what we're
Matt loves Shark Tank.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So you talked about promoting your book and doing it through Safety Town and seeing schools. Is there any other way that you promote the book? And what's the most successful financially for you?
Financially is going with Mr. Goddard on weekends. So now that that's on a halt, we're going to have to come up with plan B. But like the book came out in Spanish, so we're going to try to go to events. We're there. And the teacher who translated it was one of my children's teachers who translated into Spanish for me. She lived in Colombia and Peru, and now she's the Spanish teacher at my children's school. Her name's Colleen Dabowski. So she's like I trust her because I don't speak Spanish that well. But now it's trying to get more Facebook and get the generation as all this hip stuff that they do, that I just have to get the marketing on Facebook and Twitter and get all that going just to try to promote it. And you tell someone, because the response has been phenomenal. So they tell someone, but now it's to the point after 5 years, they're like, oh, we bought that book last year. We have that book. So it's trying to go to new venues and just get it out there, push the school thing. Or I'm hoping the Safety Town I'm supposed to meet with United Way and Acme Superstores that maybe get sponsors like that. And hopefully that could just be like my summer, kick it up in summer and make it happen.
Wow. That's wonderful. So what would you say would be the best way for our listeners to purchase your book?
If they go on my website, wiseonweather.com, and then they can click there, or if they'd like to email me, Vicki, Vicki, at wiseonweather, that's the title of the book, .com. And then we can meet and we used to have t-shirts, and then we had rulers, and we're just trying to get, coloring books and anything we can go to make like little gift packs and just make it a good purchase. Like they're like, what's the age group? And I really say we've had some where I signed it for the baby in the belly to give to a baby shower. Because you read to the children when they're in in the belly, and then they just can continue to 4th or 5th grade. So once you learn how to say ball, this book will continue because it teaches you safety and it grows with the child because it's like 3 books in one.
Wow, it's wonderful.
Yeah, that is great.
For an author, the best way to go is to find a niche that you do. And like I said, I made the most when I would sell it at a fair, or, when I went to I went to like Atwood Festival, the Woolly Bear Festival. I go to schools, craft fairs, and that's where I make it when I sell it myself. Okay. Now, I've sold some on Amazon, not a lot. Like, I'm not a top seller on there. And I'm sure, if you got the word of mouth or you get that marketing going, and that's what I need to work on now is like Facebook, Twitter, the marketing, just to get those people to push it. And I'm kind of like shy where I don't really like talking about it a lot, but that's what you need to do to sell it. Like, people need to know, like, oh, I didn't know you wrote a book, and it's been like 5 years now. So that's just something that I personally have to take that leap and just start learning more about. And hopefully my children can help me because they know more about computers than I do.
Yeah.
And what about small bookstores?
I've done, like I thought, because the mascot of the book is Woo, Wise Old Owl. So I went to the Learned Owl bookstore, and then there's a store in Medina I went to, and then Owl Eyes on You. So I was trying to think of those related with owls. Maybe they would put it in there. So I have where I would give it to them, and then they send me a check as they sell it or call me in.
Oh, but there's another thing for people to think about. Okay.
Yeah, so you can send it to other places. If you get someone, they take a commission. Usually it's 60-40, 70-30, based on whatever you decide to do. Because I know even since it was science related, the Science Center bought 5 of them.
Great.
So I don't know if they sold out or if they haven't called me back. But it's just one of those. But then my thing is keeping track of where all the books are going. So because you have to keep track of everything.
Okay.
Right. So if you have 10 here, 5 there.
Exactly. Because then you
check for one of them. Right.
Do the taxes, and then if they collect the tax, then it's less. So it's like math and organization as far as when you have to do your taxes and do everything legally.
So thanks, Vicki, for being our guest here on the first episode of The Author Inside You. So one last question. What's the best advice you can give fellow authors?
I would say from your heart, and it's been my whole life, it's been this: never give up. Just go for it. Try it. Don't think it's a dumb idea because it only takes one yes. And sometimes it's frustrating. I'm not a salesperson per se. And even my kids, you see the frustration when people say no. But it's like, that's okay, because then some lady will buy 3 books or someone will get 10. So never give up. And just go for it. That's been my saying my whole life, and just never give up, and hopefully good things will happen.
Wow, that's wonderful, Vicki. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thank you for listening to the Author Inside You podcast with your host, Leah and Matt Rafferty.